Right. And that deck really moving up to the forefront with, you know, since Avacyn restored.
Right.
Like I said, a lot of people have said that this is one of the matchups that's become a little bit harder for, like, Miracles has become a great deck because I know it completely destroys Maverick, which is a deck we really haven't seen much of today. But it's supposed to have a pretty decent Rug matchup as well, and I think it's one of the things that supposedly is moving Rug away from the top of the metagame. Though, I mean, Rug is still far from being knocked off the top of the metagame.
Right, and I don't really know if I buy that. Jeremy Stowe has a lot of great tools. He has 4 Terminus in his deck, first of all, which at instant speed with either Brainstorm or Sensei's Divining Top, it's really brutal. But Ben Robinson, he has a lot of game. The Rug Delver deck can definitely beat this deck. Jeremy Stowe can get a lot of clunky draws. He can have Rest in Pieces, Energy Fields, Helms of Obedience without the other combo piece.
Right. There are not many enchantment removals in Ben Robinson's deck. Not actually in the main or board. He does not have any Croson Grips, so you might find it hard to interact with some of the things that Stowe's doing here.
Right, if Stowe ever lands 2 parts of his combo, the Rest in Peace Energy Field or the Helm Rest in Peace, the game should
and
just
remember
be over.
that the Rest in Peace will be great, should actually have pretty good value against Tarmogoyf and Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah, surprisingly. A lot of decks in this format, they use the graveyard in really incidental ways.
Yeah.
So Jeremy Stowe is going to open on Tundra, Sensei's Divining Top. And Stowe, of course, is on those 6 cards because of the Forced Mulligan.
So a Delver of Secrets into play turn 1 for Ben Robinson off a tropical island. And he appears to have 2 Force of Wills, a Brainstorm, and a Swords to Plowshares. Draws the second land, pretty fortunate for Jeremy. Where he's just going to try to sit back and answer the things that Delver does in the early game.
Right, it is a Dust Bowl, so not the best land, but even that he'll take.
And he'll go ahead and Swords the Delver right now that he has Daze mana up.
And Ben Robinson gets to untap, and he'd love to lay another threat here, but he might have to settle for a Ponder.
You know, Wasteland away. I think he's going for the Tundra, not the Dust Bowl.
Right.
Right, and that Jeremy's going to have to find, going to find some more lands here, hopefully. Terminus, Brainstorm, and Jace. This is no lands. This is pretty rough for Jeremy now.
Luckily for him, though, Ben Robinson just passed the turn. He's holding up what looks to be a Stifle. Yeah. And Ben Robinson's turn's wasted there, so it's not the end of the world for Ben. Or for
Jeremy opts not to try to spin top and get another land, digging one deeper. It probably doesn't matter too much. Then he gets into this trap where he has to recast Divining Top every turn.
Right, and then his top gets countered potentially, and that's pretty ugly. I like Stowe's line. He's not under any pressure. Still has Force of Will back up, though. Jeremy right now has no creatures. There's 1 Delver right there, I believe, in his top cards, and I imagine he'll keep.
All right, there you go. Delver of Secrets for Ben Robinson. He once again has a threat back on the board, but Stowe at 20. If he finds another land, this could be pretty good. The Delver's going to get Force of Will here.
Yep, Delver Force. Now, I like that Jeremy doesn't spin the top first. It's kind of a natural instinct to spin the top, get the maximum amount of info, but you have to play around Daze here.
Yep. He doesn't, a Daze could be very bad for him. And he does see a land. He's going to clearly go to the top. He pitched a Brainstorm there. Remember, he still has 1 more Brainstorm, and I believe it's 1 more Force?
Yeah, not sure. Spinning those cards in his hand pretty fast.
Right, Ponder from Robinson. Yeah. He needs to find a threat. He's found yet another Delver of Secrets.
Wow, so 3 Delvers for Ben Robinson. And Wasteland will take out the Dust Bowl, which will be used to spin the top. Oh, and Basic Island for Jeremy Stowe. This is perfect for him. He has to be happy to be hitting these and not Tundras.
That Basic Island, that might be
Counterbalance.
That's Caracas, isn't it?
Not that is a Caracas. So not a blue land for him. Still very far away from casting Counterbalance.
Right. And Polluted Delta for Robinson. And there you go, another creature on the board. Is it worth the second Force? No, I don't think he doesn't have a second Force. It's hard to say. He's going to spin top. Can he keep finding lands? No, he cannot. He's going to keep a blue spell. He's keeping a Brainstorm. He may want to, remember he does have this Terminus he can pull the trigger on at some point. He may want to do that now. Just use it as a 1-mana kill spell. Stay in the game. As long as he can do that, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he can wait one more turn. I'm not.
The question if he wants to try to score a 2-for-1. No,
Right.
He's just going to use it as a removal spell.
And Ben can't really do anything about that. He has a Daze and a Stifle. Either
Right.
one works.
Miracle's doing a great job, Jeremy, of just answering every card that Ben plays. Just doing eventually he'll draw out of this.
Right. Question is, can Ben Robinson keep up this string of threats?
Right, so you have spinning top. So still that Brainstorm, Jace, and it appears to be a land.
Yeah, he put it on the top pretty fast there.
It is an Enlightened Tutor.
Okay, so it's a shuffle effect. That's a start for Jeremy Stowe.
That's great, yeah.
Now let's see. This Enlightened Tutor, not sure what it's going to go get. Maybe a Rest in Peace. Maybe nothing. I'm pretty sure it's nothing or Rest in Peace here.
I almost feel like one of the dangers, and the fourth and final, that's the fourth Delver, right?
That's 4 out of 4 Delvers.
And that is a land on top. So he does not have to Enlighten Tutor yet.
I think it was a Plains though, so the third white source pretty irrelevant. We'll see
he's worried about Days, and he should be. So upkeep, he's going to Enlighten Tutor. He really has his opponent on the Days.
Yeah, correctly playing around the Days here.
Unfortunately, it's not going to play around the Spell Pierce.
Nope, kind of hard for him too. With the Delver in play, it means he doesn't have the luxury of time.
He's drawing another Plains, passes the turn back.
And really, the Enlightened Tutor wasn't that crucial. It was just more the shuffle effect than anything.
Yep, and there is a flip. It's Lightning Bolt. All right, so now Ben Robinson's going to go to work on Jeremy Stowe's life total. He actually doesn't want the bolt. He's going to shuffle it away now that it's done its job in flipping Delver.
That's not unreasonable. Jeremy Stowe, not a single target in his deck for Lightning Bolt.
Right, no creatures.
Only Jace, really. He'll go get a non-basic, draw his card for the turn. He'll hope it's not a land. He'll hope it's a creature. Nope, Misty Rainforest drawn for Ben Robinson. All he can do is keep attacking.
Yep, just more lands. I mean, that'll. You want to play some of those to make sure that when you do draw Brainstorm, you're live. Still cannot find a blue source.
Wow, he has quite a few in his deck. He has 4 Strands, 4 Tundras, 3 Tarns, 4 Islands, Glacial Fortress. So no shortage of blue
Ponder
mana.
off Robinson with the fetch and the fetch land. This should be he should be able to put the game away on this.
I think he sees Force of Will, Daze here, so he'll take the best card of the 3 and then shuffle away the rest.
It's a Force of Will. And remember, Jeremy Stowe needs a natural blue source. Unfortunately for him, Ben Robinson has a Stifle if the card he finds is a fetch land.
Right. And all he can do is pass the turn here. Jeremy Stowe just brick. Blue card after blue card for him.
Yeah. That Tarmogoyf's going to join the party. Maybe not. If you want to be sure that you're playing around a Miracle Terminus, I don't even think you run out Tarmogoyf at this point.
No, I think with Jeremy Stowe at 10, he does not need to.
Another Jace. Austin's going to draw one of these. Oh no, it's an island. Okay, basic island. He's
in business, as they say.
I mean, somewhat in business.
Somewhat.
Less. I mean, he probably realizes that things are. He realizes that things are probably bad for him right now.
Right. He's got a chance this game, though. He has Brainstorm online now, which cannot be dazed, can be Force of Will, but I'm not sure Ben Robinson will pull the trigger on a Brainstorm.
Remember, Robinson does have a Lightning Bolt in his hand, so still really with not that many turns to be to do something here. Stowe is at 7.
Stowe spins the top. Jace, Brainstorm, Scalding Tarn. So all of a sudden,
that's going to meet a very quick stifle when he tries to get the blue off it.
Yep, there's the stifle. Jeremy Stowe now on 6.
6. That's a huge life total change, actually.
That's from alive to dead, the biggest life total change of them all.
All right.
So we'll see if Stowe can do anything else. He's a mitt full of blue cards. He can at least counter. Oh, okay. The stifle's still on the stack. He's thinking about Force of Willing.
Yeah, gonna go back. Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. Yeah, okay. Force of Will back. Wow, and very just sure that that's the play he wanted. I don't know. I don't know if I want to fight over an LD spell that bad. Yeah, so Jeremy's pretty much out of cards.
Yeah, he's
a counter spell and a counterbalance. Doesn't really do anything. Let's spin the top. Brainstorm, Jace. Detention Sphere.
Detention Sphere.
That is a 2 of Detention Sphere in the main deck.
Now, if you're Jeremy Stowe, I think you have to go for this here. I don't think you can drop to 2 against the Rug Delver deck.
No, definitely not. So, and then here he is. He's going to put the top. I wonder what land. Top's not in English there. On top of his deck. And he'll Detention Sphere the Delver of Secrets if he can. Remember, there is, and that does work. Robinson does have a replacement Tarmogoyf.
Right.
Remember, Stowe's hand of counterbalance, counterspell.
Oh, Ben Robinson just drew another lightning bolt, so that's the game.
All right, that's 2 lightning bolts. All right, so Ben Robinson, Stowe hangs on a long time, but not able to ever really mount a board presence.
No, he 1-for-1 Ben Robinson a few times. He was able to Force of Will a creature, he was able to Swords a creature, Terminus a creature, Detention Sphere a creature, but eventually the bolts got him.
So interestingly enough, so looking at sideboards, what I think find interesting here is that Ben Robinson's sideboard would likely be a red blast, 2 pyroblasts, and a V-click. The thing about the red blasts and the pyroblasts, they're not actually that good against this build. This build with a lot of white cards in it. I mean, it certainly hits energy field. I know Ben Robinson probably isn't playing around that,
but he will. It will be nice to see that he has an out to it. That's for sure.
Right.
What do you think he's going to take out?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, Forked Bolt for one, I think is pretty bad in this matchup. He has 2 Forked Bolt and 1 Dismember. Those are very easy cuts for him to make.
Right. I think he'd like to cut all the lightning bolts as well, but the question is if he has enough cards to board in.
Right. I mean, the other cards he has are Surgical Extraction, Life from the Loam. None of these are. These are terrible cards to match up. Gilded Drake, that doesn't really do anything.
Surgical might be better than Lightning Bolt. That's close, but Surgical to take out something key like say countered Sensei's Divining Top.
I feel like that's one of those situations where you're being too fancy. And
you think Lava Spike is better?
I think Lava Spike is a better card.
Wow, it might be. I think it's really close between the two. Certainly, I wouldn't fault Ben Robinson for bringing them in. Lightning Bolt's certainly not exciting.
No, both of them are terrible cards in the matchup.
Jeremy Stowe, on the other hand, he has quite a few options. He has, let's see, he has a Path to Exile. That'll certainly be coming in. He has a Supreme Verdict also coming in. Spell Snare stops Tarmogoyf, but that's about it. I'm not sure the Goyf is really what he's worried about in this matchup.
No, and I would agree.
Really though, that's about it. Not actually that much. Yeah, a Path and a Verdict. His deck is already pretty well set up to fight creatures.
Right. I mean, once again, I think he just wants to remove every creature that Robinson plays.
Right.
So yeah, all the 1-mana removal spells seem like they all come in.
Yeah.
Supreme Verdict.
I'm surprised that there aren't more Path to Exiles in Jeremy's sideboard. He only has 1. Usually you see people kind of overload on these 1-mana white removal spells, like 4 Swords, 3 Path after board, that kind of thing.
Right.
But I guess he's not worried about these creature decks. So Jeremy Stowe was on 6 cards on a forced mulligan that game. He was not able to take it from Ben Robinson, but he will be on the play for game 2. And I really like this blue-white deck on the play. I feel like if he can get down an early counterbalance through a disruption spell, it'd be very good for Jeremy Stowe.
Yeah, absolutely.
His combo though, it's not actually that strong, is it? Not against Rug Delver.
Well, I mean,
it costs a lot of mana.
Yeah, sure. It costs a lot of mana. It's a way to end the game. You know, this is still a Miracles deck at its core. It really hopes to win the game through frustration and inevitability. You know, as much as he's hoping to quick combo him, he's hoping to establish countertop and get Ben. Ben may just be scooping at that point. You know?
Right. I'm sure that Stowe would rather have a hand with countertop than Rest in Peace Hell.
Right. So I mean, the interesting thing when you put something like this sort of combo in a deck, what you're doing is, you know, normally Miracles deck can win off playing Entreat the Angels, and Jeremy has found that he believes that Rest in Peace is a card with enough marginal value as a card. You know, like for example in this matchup, say Entreat the Angels is a pretty bad card when you're not winning. It doesn't really do anything. And even when you are winning, you know, you can't cast it for its full amount because you don't want to get dazed. Pierced. It's a pretty sketchy card in the matchup. So he may just want to, like, what he's doing essentially is changing up his win condition to something which, you know, he can make a turn 2 Rest in Peace, and he thinks that's like probably more valuable than, you know, a turn 2 Entreat the Angels, which isn't a card.
Right.
So it's like basically which way do you want to win? Which way do you think when it's halfway to winning is more relevant? And Rest in Peace may be the better way to. May just be the next evolution of the deck.
I mean, Rest in Peace. If you happen to to get paired against the 10% of the field that's a hardcore graveyard deck.
Like you play against Dredge, game 1, turn 2, rest in peace. They have to. Whoa!
They have to call for a deck check at that point, right?
Is this good? If so, why? All right, turn 1, Divining Tap from Jeremy Stowe. Ben Robinson. I'm gonna go Delver Secrets off of a tropical island.
And I see standard winner Ryan Forsberg dropping off a match result slip, so it looks like he is still X-1 here through round 6. So right now, top facing off against Delver Secrets. Helm of Obedience drawn from Jeremy, or on top for Jeremy Stowe. He probably won't be drawing that one for a while.
Yeah, a bunch of interesting matchups in the X1 bracket. What is it? Another one we have? We have Caleb Durward and Joey Mispagel, both at X1. One of those two to be eliminated this round. Both pretty decent, pretty big names at these events.
It looks like Brandon Large versus Dustin Penn.
Yeah.
We showed Brandon once on camera today, round 3.
We still have so much of our top 8 from yesterday left. You know, Nick Marriott at X1. So yeah, we have Nick Marriott, Ryan Forsberg, Justin Uppel. A lot of these repeaters.
Yeah. So the Delver flips for Ben Robinson, gets in for 3. Jeremy Stowe, rest in peace in hand, Helm of Obedience on top, but he's a little land light right now. So he might just go for this rest in peace right here. Looks like he wants to.
Well, the question is who he wants to enchant, whether he believes he has, you know, the Helm of Obedience on top. And that rest in peace is going to get spell pierced, and he's going to fight over it. Force pitching Jace.
Yeah, and neither one of those cards really. Well, the Jace is not very good when you're stuck on 2 land.
All right, Ben Robinson's going to have to read it now. All right, rest in peace. I'm done. He's enchanting Ben Robinson with the rest in peace. It's a enchant. 1 second. Oh, so rest in peace doesn't target. Rest in peace does not target a player. It's both players.
Oh, it's
both
each
players
player.
rest in peace. So yeah, it's both graveyards will no longer hit anything. Everything's exiled. So yeah,
Well, that makes
it's
sense.
a double
You
ley
feel
line
a
of the
heck a lot
void.
better.
Out of Return to Ravnica, rest in peace. One of the more heavy-handed control, like hate cards has been printed as of late. It basically is a Termon's Crypt when you play it, and then Ley Line of the Void's both players.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how powerful this is compared to other graveyard hate cards. I mean, Tormod's Crypt used to be the be-all, end-all of graveyard hate cards. And now this, for 2 more mana, stops all graveyards forever.
So, for Jeremy Stowe, he just needs to get more lands. He's still getting beaten up by this Delver of Secrets. And he's going to cast Energy Field.
Oh boy.
Alright, now Ben Robinson's going to have to read that one too. Remember, Ben probably boarded in some Red Blasts, but until he does, he's not going to be able to do anything.
No, he has outs against it. It looks like 2, right?
Yep, he has 2 Red Blasts and a 2 Pyro Blasts and a Red Blast.
Right, and I have to imagine both came, or all 3 came in.
Yeah, I can't see why they wouldn't. So it's not but remember, until he deals with that, it's not like a worship effect. Jeremy Stowe will take no damage from Delver of Secrets.
Right.
So this little 2-card combo basically prevents all damage from being dealt to Jeremy from sources he does not control, which is all the sources that would be dealing him damage. Well, I mean, to be fair, I guess he can still hurt himself with his own fetch lands, but that's not damage anyway, so you could...
Right. And yeah, really, at this point, it's just a race if Jeremy Stowe can find a counterbalance or if Ben Robinson can find a Red Blast first. And yeah, there's
Another
a
land
lightning
from Robinson. Robinson's grip full of a lot of, Stifle. We see fetch land, Terminus, and that Helm. Jeremy wants the fetch land. He probably does not want to let the Helm go, though.
No, I can't imagine getting rid of the Helm here.
Possibly he's going to play it as slow as possible and just miracle a Terminus here. And going to make a land drop. And then probably pass back there. And he doesn't want to crack this at all. All right, Robinson needs to search for a blast. He gets a Volcanic Island. That's not going to do anything. Still on Incessant's top, we have Terminus, Enlightened Tutor Helm. Maybe Enlightened Tutor is better. He's going to opt to draw the Helm. So then he can, once he has the Helm in hand, now he can safely crack the fetch land. He doesn't feel the need for a Terminus.
Right.
So he wants to just get a fresh library.
Yep.
And a Daze in Ben Robinson's hand.
So end of turn,
Anything
Stowe's
good here?
again.
Oh, another land. So Stowe, sure, he'll take that.
Yeah, but he's, exactly like you said, he's playing it very slow.
There's no need to go for Helm here. And I don't think Stowe I don't like it. I don't think Stowe should go for it. I don't think he's going
No,
to.
he's played very carefully so far this match. I don't see him going
Second
for it.
top and he'll pass turn. This lets him, without much investment, actually take a card when he tops. And a Nimble Mongoose from Ben Robinson will be a perennial 1/1.
1/1 Shroud.
Another land. Stowe will continue to make lands. I think he may try to go off on 6 lands.
6 makes sense. Maybe play around 2 dazes.
Or wait till he has a counter spell.
Yep. Life from the Loam. That's an embarrassing draw right now.
Ben Robinson, maybe not knowing the full theme of Jeremy Stowe's deck. Yeah, Life from the Loam, probably not a great throw.
And, really, how could he? Jeremy Stowe played something like 4 cards game 1. He showed him all normal blue-white miracle cards.
He's going to use top to take one of those 3 cards. He's going to Miracle a Terminus. Nope, that's not the one you flip over. That's just starts flipping over the Nimble Mongoose.
Starts proxying on the back of a Nimble Mongoose.
And now that we have that Miracle Terminus, Jeremy Stowe will go to 12 and crack his fetch land.
He'll get rid of that Sensei's Divining Top. No need for 2 here. And all Jeremy Stowe needs... Oh, it actually looks like Jeremy Stowe sided in his second Helm of Obedience.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is he may want to... I don't know. He did not take the Enlightened Tutor, and I almost feel like I would have taken the Enlightened Tutor so that I can make sure that I can play the second Helm if I decided it in. The Helm's in Jeremy's hand right now, though. Yeah, he also has an Entreat the Angels on top of the deck. My guess is he's just going to bury that one for a while, play some lands. The fact that he has more lands now gives him the freedom to attempt to Helm his opponent.
Right, exactly. I think you Helm first, just go for the win right now, and if the Helm doesn't work, you still have the Entreat back up.
And he's just going to say go. There's no reason to go for it yet. He's seen, even if Ben Robinson finds a way to deal with Energy Field, there's no reason. Yeah,
right.
Then there's not like Jeremy Stowe's at a very healthy 12 life.
It's not like Ben Robinson has.
You just cast Jace.
Yeah.
Try Jace as a test spell.
Jace is a test spell. That's when you know you're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of hope he counters my Jace actually.
All right, and we have a certain Mind Sculptor now on the battlefield. And this is somewhat what we mean when we say that, it has this combo finish, but really, by the time that happens, it's already winning. He's going to Fate Seal with Jace. Interesting, not Fate Sealing as opposed to Brainstorming, because you have to assume that Ben's bringing in Red Blasts. Well, you know he doesn't have a Red Blast, because the Energy Field's still around.
Right, maybe he figures Ben could still have Lightning Bolts in the deck. He wants to get it out of bolt range. Not unreasonable. He doesn't particularly need to Brainstorm right now.
Detentions here. Okay, Caracas. He'll draw the land for turn.
Yep. That's all this deck wants to do.
Jeremy
It just
Stowe wants to draw another, Yep. 7, so he's going to keep Fate Sealing. He's basically, just remember, the trick with playing Miracles is playing it fast as opposed to playing it well.
Right. And
so he could have run the Mind Trick. Sometimes, even when there's a good card on top of their deck, if they have an uncracked fetch land, it behooves you just to leave a card there. It'll get them to crack their fetch land. Certainly something that people do.
Jeremy not going for it. And, when it went to the face cam, we did see Jeremy Stowe glance at the clock a couple of times. He is standing in a pretty good seat.
Activate Divining Top and Miracle and Entreat the Angels. All right, how much is the question? He could try, I would say 3. I'd make 3 Angels.
Yeah, he doesn't really need a lot. Because Ben Robinson clearly...
He can't kill him. Maybe 2 is fine.
Yeah, I think any number between 1 and 3 is pretty reasonable.
I like 3 because then I don't want to actually be I don't want to make 3, have my opponent make a couple Tarmogoyfs, and then have to wrath the board.
Right.
That's embarrassing.
Right.
So he stifled the Miracle trigger. So the Entreat the Angels is now in Jeremy Stowe's hand. Interestingly enough, Jeremy Stowe does not Brainstorm to put it right back on top of his deck.
Yep,
he's just on the Fate Seal plan.
What's interesting though is that Delver can attack Jace, and that Delver can take counters off that Jace.
Yep. He's gonna go for Helm of Obedience. All right, Ben Robinson's gonna have to. Whoa. Okay. Well, you have to counter this.
Yeah, you pretty much just tell your opponent that at this point.
You must counter this, or bad things will happen.
1 mana, mill target player's deck. Not too bad. Oh, here we go. 2 mana. 3 mana. Not sure what Ben Robinson has here.
All right, so we see 2. It's a 2 dazes, correct?
Ah, I see.
So
okay.
It's the second daze he's gonna have to crack to pay for, which is fine. I mean, as long as Ben As long as Helm resolves, it's fine. I mean, the cool part about the Miracles deck is that he doesn't actually need anything to resolve. 4 lightning bolts, and that'll mill his entire deck.
Wow. So Jeremy Stowe takes game 2 in convincing fashion at a really healthy 11 life. He was never in danger.
So what I actually liked about that, more so, so the Rest in Peace deck is, it wasn't the Helm combo. It was, I mean, actually the Energy Field combo there was I think, the decider.
Yeah, Energy Field just completely shut Ben Robinson out. He had enough points of burn to end his opponent's life. He couldn't damage him.
Yes, he was just, Jamie was slowly just tightening the sleeper hold the whole time.
Yep.
Not ever dealing with his opponent, you know,
just kind of ignoring his opponent the whole time.
You don't know it, but every turn I'm taking away 3 of your outs. In approximately 15 turns, you will have none left. Like, I always kind of love those styles of control decks.
I'm pretty sure Jeremy Stowe's a sadist. That means, like, that just has to be what that means here.
What is it? Something, yeah.
I mean, if you're playing a blue-white Miracle deck in Legacy,
that means
that's a tough deck. You know, it's any kind of counterbalance top deck.
I had a discussion, what was it, in Salt Lake City with Andrew Cuneo about that. He's very famous for building decks which really just tighten the sleeper hold the entire time.
Yeah, just punish your opponent for continuing to play.
Like, my opponent played for 10 minutes. He didn't know he was dead, but he was dead. We played 10 more minutes. Then I beat him. Like there was no way I wasn't going to keep drawing cards.
Right. But really, you know, that's the way to build these control decks. You have to build them with so few win conditions because win conditions are so useless in the early game.
You don't need a way to win.
Exactly. You need between 1 and 3 ways to win in your deck. And Jeremy Stowe shows that. He has 1 Helm, 1 Entreat.
Right.
And that is plenty. 3 Jace the Mind Sculptor just in case.
I remember this match for our first spot in the top 8. So Ben Robinson and Rob Delver, Jeremy Stowe on Rest in Peace Miracles.
And if you are just joining us, I'm Zach Call, and he's Matthias Hunt, and we're coming to you live from Star City Games Open Series in St. Louis. Standard in the books. If you missed it yesterday, Ryan Forsberg, who, by the way, is still in contention here, he took the tournament down with a blue-white-red mid-range deck, and he's threatening to do the same thing here with a bug Delver deck.
Yeah, it was really indicative of some of the newer trends in Standard. The blue-white-red mid-range deck is certainly starting to look more like a deck with a cohesive plan as opposed to a deck full of rares. I think the format is not, I would say, is showing the trappings of starting to solve. We're still a ways away from it, but you know, jamming, I think as we continue to play, we'll see that just jamming all your rares is going to become less and less of a thing.
Yeah, it's not really that viable to just play every single 5-drop in the format.
I mean, the joke is, you know, block constructed formats often come down to, like, if you play for the Return to Ravnica block constructed right now on Moto, where it's a format like that's all it is. You pick your favorite guild, you jam all the best cards of that guild, and you go. Like, I think right now Azorius is probably, like, I hear from people that Azorius is probably the best one to do that with, but there's plenty of guilds you can do it with. You know, the decks are always very silly in that sense. They're like, oh, this is, you know, all these mythic rares, four of the best rares, huh? You know,
4X Armada or
yeah. I mean, you know, it'd be like I'm playing 2 Asperia, 4 Cyclonic Rift, 4 Angel of Serenities, and it's like, oh, these are okay. This is a blue-white deck. I see.
I'm backing it up with 4 Supreme Verdict.
Right, 4 Detention Spheres. Yeah. Like, you're playing a lot of rares.
So Ben Robinson on the play for the decisive game 3. He'll go fetch a land turn 1. And he would love to start on a creature. He has to get a threat down early.
Yep.
Put Jeremy Stowe on the back foot. Make Jeremy Stowe play the game not according to his terms.
All right. So Ben Robinson, turn 1 Nimble Mongoose.
Not the one he'd want against Jeremy Stowe, but it's all right.
I mean, Jeremy Stowe doesn't have a Rest in Peace, in which case it's terrible.
Right. So we have an update for you from the other match, the match next door. Jeremy Uppel and Josh Hendricks, the only other X&O match. They're going to game 3.
That one will also be a spot in our top 8.
Yeah, they're both playing for it. Jeremy Stowe, Ben Robinson, Uppel, and Hendricks. 2 of these players will top 8, at least.
All right, so Nimble Mongoose, his swings Jeremy Stowe to 19. He's going to crack his fetch, Robinson cracks his fetch on, grabbing another LA Volcanic Island. Yep.
Yeah, and Jeremy Stowe's hand here, very slow. He has 1 Force of Will, 2 Jace, Brainstorm Sword. So really those Jaces clogging up his hand. They're not going to do much until a little later in this game.
So Stowe's going to need to find a Rest in Peace or a Terminus. The question is if this is something he really wants to counter. No, I think he's okay with it, and I agree with that play. The irony that he draws Detention Sphere to try to deal with the two nimble mongoose. It has two of the same card, but this doesn't work.
Detention Sphere can never target Detention Sphere, and it can never target Nimble Mongoose.
Yes, those are the only two cards it can't remove.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so no plays here. Still maybe trying to get Robinson to commit a little bit harder into the board.
Right. He's also trying to slow roll that Brainstorm until he can find a Terminus to put back. He doesn't want to use the Brainstorm and not have a fetch land, not have a Terminus, not be able to put the Brainstorm to good use.
So third land, and that was a discarded Lightning Bolt? How's Lightning Bolt in the graveyard?
Huh, that's interesting. That
Okay, there's a bolt. Sorry, there's a bolt on end step that we missed there. So
okay.
yeah, AOT bolted.
That makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I was like, okay, hold on. I mean, really, it's a play where you said it is a Lava Spike. He's just trying to get, and once he gets his graveyard to 7, that's extremely relevant.
Yeah, that's the magic number. He wants 7 cards in his graveyard. Right now, though, he doesn't really have that critical mass of cantrips. In fact, he doesn't have a single cantrip. He would really love to find a Ponder or a Brainstorm. Either one works for him. And right now, he's just going to go for Jace, because he has a backup Jace. If his opponent dazes it...
His opponent does, he has a Daze and a Spell Pierce.
Yeah. He's Jeremy Stowe not going to fight over this.
He's gonna
not
hard
with
cast
another
the
Jace
Jace.
in hand. I don't think he is.
He might. In which case he'll get the Spell Pierce too. Yeah, he's going to force pitching Detentions here. I really like that play, actually.
Really, with another Jace in hand?
With another Jace in hand, I still think it's a fine play. I mean, I never am bothered by having lots of Jaces. You know, that's a good thing. The worry is that Robinson's graveyard is going to get pretty full in this counter war. And that's why I think Robinson pierces back here. Yeah, and he does. And that'll put him up to 5 cards in graveyard. Stowe has to be a little nervous that Robinson could crack a fetch land, bolt him, or he can waste. He's going to waste the Dust Bowl. It's 6.
I almost like
wasting my own land there. Yeah, I was exactly going to say that.
Put Jeremy on a 2-turn clock. Instead, Jeremy at 9. Those Mongeese still 1/1s. And yeah, wasting Jeremy's land didn't really do anything here. Jeremy still has a 4th. He'll be able to play that Jace if he wants to.
He has to be somewhat concerned about his own life total here. This Mongoose. All right, Jace. Yes, this one. Robinson with 2 cards left in hand. Yeah. 6 cards in graveyard. Yeah, I really wanted the wasteland to go on his own land.
Yeah, I think Ben Robinson just has to snap Pyroblast this.
Yeah, okay, there we go. That's now there's 7s. This is a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, now if Ben Robinson wasted his own land, Jeremy Stowe would be dead.
The problem here is that Stowe cannot use the Brainstorm to find a Terminus.
Right. He'll have to wait till his opponent's turn and hope
there's no good way to do it. He's going to have to find some sort of like a top and a Terminus.
Oh, he's keeping it over there.
It's a fetch land, so I mean the problem is he doesn't have a way to draw. He's just blindly drawing cards.
Right. He has to blind Brainstorm into
he
the
could
first
find
part.
Rest in Peace. If he can find Rest in Peace, it'll let him drop to 1. Granted, there's that fetch land there, so he can't actually crack it if he gets a Rest in Peace.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think his first move would be to Brainstorm then, if that's what he's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, even if he does find a Terminus, if he Brainstorms main phase, he can find another Brainstorm with the Terminus.
Right, the reason I don't like the Scalding Tarns, I think Rest in Peace is his best draw, and I don't think you can ever crack Scalding Tarns. I'd almost want to have that as fodder to put back with Brainstorm.
Right. Yeah, that might be a little premature. They're playing that Tarn.
Brainstorm, one of the hardest cards in Legacy to play. Alright, Brainstorm here. So yeah, Rest in Peace is an answer for him. He's going to draw a Supreme Verdict.
That's an answer.
Swords and a Rest in Peace. Wow.
And Jeremy Stowe in business. He finds the
right now
one of Supreme Verdict.
The one thing he has to watch out for. Yes, he's putting back 2 cards. He's putting back a 4. He's putting back one of the.
Spell Snare and Swords, I think.
Okay, so it's a Spell Snare. He's putting those back. Yeah, but he does have to watch out for. Ben Robinson has already shown these capped Lightning Bolt in.
Right.
So you know, little scary there.
Yeah, he can't really play around it, but at this point, Jeremy Stowe just all in on the Supreme Verdict.
He has
wipe the board.
Swords. He probably would wish that he, had his own creature to Swords. He doesn't actually play them.
Nope.
The only creatures are the Miracle and Treat the Angels, which if he's miracling that, I suppose Swordsing one isn't. I mean, he doesn't have a 3 triple white, so Swordsing one's pretty silly. I mean, it's not silly, but it's just not the relevant play. So Jeremy Stowe really having no life gain here.
And there's the verdict. The one of in the 75, Ben Robinson.
And Ben Robinson, we did have the days, correct?
He did.
So now he has 2 dazes
Wow.
and a land. Robinson's opponent, your rug delver attacking your opponent, just staring with your opponent at 2. Oh gosh.
And yeah, Jeremy Stowe will just drop the rest in peace, it looks like.
Yep, plays his land.
Neuter any future Tarmogoyfs.
Rest in peace. So Tarmogoyf destined to be an 0-1. That drastically. So now Ben Robinson, the cards he can draw for are 2 Nimble Mongoose. And that's another. He has another fetch line. 2 Nimble Mongoose left, 4 Delver, and 3 Lightning Bolt. The Lightning Bolt being, of course, the most important ones here.
Yep.
Swords, Terminus,
Wow.
and
Force of Will.
Force of Will, he can hard cast at this point.
Yeah.
Granted, Robinson does have a fair number of dazes.
He does.
But I think, putting those back, it's not even a bad thing to put those guys back.
No.
A Terminus and a Swords.
I think I cracked the fetch, though. Well, of course, depending on what Robinson does. But
Well, the biggest thing is that you want to make sure you have protection against all possibility. Okay, the Swords you have protection against the Delvers. You have protection against, kind of the Mongoose. You want to keep the Terminus, you have protection against the Mongoose.
you want to keep the Terminus, but the problem is that you give Ben Robinson so many turns. As soon as Ben Robinson draws a cantrip, that's going to find another cantrip, which is probably going to find a Lightning Bolt.
Right, you do need to, and he has a Force of Will. He needs to make sure he has enough to keep having lands in place that he can, and he wants to have a second blue spell for the Force of Will.
Right.
He actually is going to want to alternate cost the Force of Will to play around days.
Even though that would leave him at 1 life and not able to fetch land.
Yeah, I don't think he cracks this fetch land until he draws a Brainstorm. I think he just, okay, Jeremy Stowe disagrees.
Proves us wrong. He's going to shuffle something away here. I believe he's shuffling away the Swords. I don't know if it's the Swords or the Terminus he's shuffling away, or both.
He's kept one of the 2. Yeah, he drew his card face down, so leaving us in the dark. Very rude.
So Jeremy Stowe, Plains, Island, rest in peace, versus a variety of Trops and Volks for Ben Robinson. Jeremy Stowe, 1 life.
Right, and the thing is that I don't think that top deck is so negative. Yeah, I really don't like that shuffle at all.
I think Jeremy Stowe has a ton of good draws here.
Well, no, just because now he can't Force of Will.
There's one of the good draws.
That is a good draw. Counterbalance is excellent here. He's still dead. Okay, and the Force of Will from Ben Robinson.
Man. Poor Ben Robinson.
Oh, it's just a punch right in the gut there.
Just the worst sequence of draws for him. He just needs to find a Lightning Bolt. Can't do it. Oh, Vendilion Click. That gets around Counterbalance. That gets around it very well.
And Jeremy, I presume, has kept one of his Swords to Plowshares. I'm not sure.
Ben Robinson says, after draw step, I'm going to click you.
Click you during draw step.
During draw step, yeah.
Well, there's a Rest in Peace in his hand. That's quite terrible. He'll certainly be allowed to keep that. He'll probably take the Force of Will. I don't know if I take the Force of Will. Okay, he's going to see if he can counterbalance it.
Going to get a little more information.
No, 1. All right. Great card. He's not going to actually be able to fully capitalize off Brainstorm because he's at 1. Even if he gets a fetch land, he's not, the Brainstorm was kind of a classic cantrip here.
Right.
So, actually, he has the Enlightened Tutor. Assuming Ben Robinson does not take the Enlightened Tutor, then
he can go get the energy.
He can go get the Helm.
Oh yeah, the Helm, but he's at 1 life.
So I think especially when Brainstorm's on top of the deck, the Enlightened Tutor has to be the pick here. He can get energy. He can get Energy Field. Energy Field can be red blasted. I may just try to get Helm. He doesn't know his opponent has double days, in which case I guess Energy Field is better.
I think Jeremy Stowe is just dead, isn't he? If you take the Swords to Plowshares, he has a Force of Will for the other Swords, and Jeremy Stowe can't force back. He's at 1 life.
Oh wow. Well, that's true.
I think unless Ben Robinson overthinks this here.
Yes, he definitely should have Swords in response there because he has to be worried that maybe there's a Force of Will waiting in Robinson's hand.
The only thing that Ben Robinson has to worry about is a possible energy field.
Well, there's that Brainstorm that's that we know he's going to draw into. So Jeremy Stowe will have some extra draw steps here. But yeah, the Swords needed to be used there right away.
This is actually really complicated because of the counterbalance. Ben Robinson has to try and figure out if Jeremy Stowe can get an energy field into play.
The biggest thing, Yeah, if no, it doesn't work. Okay, so if Vendilion Click takes swords, I mean, no, the reason he takes Force of Will is because Vendilion Click takes swords. Then Jeremy still gets to draw the Brainstorm, and then when he attempts to swords, the Vendilion Click, he will use Brainstorm to put the Force of Will back on top of the deck, countering Force of Will.
I see. So Stowe's going to go for it main phase. He's going to swords.
Yep, and Robinson just has to let that happen.
Right. Not going to use a Force of Will when he knows there's another one in hand.
Passing the turn. All right, what do we have? We have a Spell Pierce from Robinson. It's a good card, but unfortunately there's this counterbalance in play. Question, yeah, and he's going to end step Enlightened Tutor.
And the gears are turning, the locks are turning on Ben Robinson.
Energy Field or Helm, those are his two options. He's going to go for Helm. Remember, there's a Spell Pierce and 2 Dazes in Ben Robinson's hand. This Helm is not resolving. Well, it's not resolving without the help of a counterbalance.
Right. Without a lot of help from counterbalance.
Well, he'll need to have 6 lands in play, and would also have to have a 1 or 2 on top of his deck. If both those are true, though, then this will resolve.
Yep, we'll see what what Jeremy Stowe can do here. Now we have to remember he still has the Brainstorm. That can fix the top of his deck with counterbalance. He has a 1-drop and a 2-drop in hand. The only thing he can't counter is Force of Will.
If he goes for it here, he's gonna get countered. And yeah, it is going to get countered. Alright, so it's gonna take Ben Robinson's whole hand, but Helm will be countered here.
He could just hardcast a Force of Will too.
He's gonna go first for Spell Pierce. Brainstorm. That may get dazed. Yep, that should get dazed.
Yep. Dazed from Ben Robinson, and now the blind counterbalance will try and counter this 1-drop.
Yeah, he's looking for a 2. He does have some number of them. He's gonna daze the Brainstorm.
Okay, so first you resolve the counterbalance onto land.
0. Okay, so now they're both, and that's a terrible draw. So now everything's gonna be countered.
Yep.
Nothing Jeremy Stowe does will work here.
Jeremy Stowe needed to find a 1 or a 2-drop there. Ben Robinson just left with lands and a Force.
Yep, Nimble Mongoose, that actually is pretty relevant here. It's a 1/1
game. Jeremy Stowe has no outs. His top of card's a fetch land.
Yeah, that's actually gonna be the game here. Wow.
So Ben Robinson managed to find the
find that last point of damage.
Yeah. There weren't many left in the deck.
Judge Rasmussen to the main stage, please.
You had 4 Delvers and 1 Mongoose? 2 Mongoose?
All right, and the concession there, Jeremy Stowe. So Ben Robinson, 2-1, defeats Jeremy Stowe in kind of a thrilling match. Ben Robinson, first spot in our top 8. With Delver, Jeremy Stowe, I like his deck quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. Very, very cool deck. Unfortunately, he couldn't blind flip for counterbalance. That's what he needed to do. He had a couple opportunities. He needed to hit a 1 or a 2-drop there. A little earlier in the game, he needed to counter the Vendilion Click. He couldn't do either. As a result, loses 1-2, but not out of the tournament.
Nope, definitely not. Yeah, gets his first, just his first loss of the day.